Graph a linear function using slope-intercept form. The slope-intercept form of an equation is y is equal to mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. M, which is the coefficient or the numerical term for x, is the rise over the run, and b is the y-intercept. The y-intercept is where your graph simply crosses the y-axis. And here are the steps to graph using this slope-intercept form. The first step is that you'll put the equation in slope-intercept form if it's not already done so. The second thing you'll do is you'll plot the y-intercept. Recall that the y-intercept, which is this constant b, is the place where your line crosses the y-axis. From the y-intercept, we plot the slope. We simply take m, which is the numerical coefficient of x, we'll convert it to a fraction, and from the y-intercept we'll plot the rise and the run. The last step is we'll connect the 2 points. Before we take a look at any examples, let's take a look at the geometric orientation base of the slope. Recall that the slope of a linear function is m, which means that if the coefficient of your variable x is positive, which alludes to m is greater than 0, then your line will rise from left to right. So if our slope is positive, as we read our line from left to right, it should ascend. However, if m is less than 0, which alludes to the fact that the coefficient of your x variable is negative, then your line will fall as you read it from left to right. If the slope of our line is 0, then we have a horizontal line. Now let's take a look at some examples. We're asked to graph the equation y is equal to 3x plus 1. As I examine the equation, notice that our equation is already in slope-intercept form. We have a slope of positive 3 and we have a y-intercept of 1. So the first condition on the 4 steps to graph is satisfied. The next thing we'll do is we'll plot the y-intercept. Since the y-intercept is equal to 1, I'll simply find positive 1 on the y-axis and I'll plot that point. Next, from the y-intercept, I'll plot the slope. Recall that the slope, which is the coefficient of our variable x, is 3. So I'll simply convert 3 to a fraction because we need a rise, we need a run. Also notice that the coefficient is positive, so our graph should rise from left to right. So from the y-intercept, I'll plot the slope. Our rise is 3 and our run is 1. So from the y-intercept, I'll rise 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'll run 1 place to the right, and I'll plot my point. Now that I have the 2 points, my last step is to connect the line. Let's take a look at another example. Here we're asked to graph y is equal to negative 2x plus 4. Our equation is already in slope-intercept form. We see that the slope is negative 2, so our graph should fall from left to right. And we also see that the y-intercept is 4. So as we follow our steps, the first step has already been done for us. Our equation is in slope-intercept form. The next thing I'll do is I'll plot the y-intercept, which is 4. So on the y-axis, I'll find positive 4, and I'll plot that point. Next, from the y-intercept, we'll plot the slope. The slope, which is the coefficient of x, is -2. So I'll write -2 as a fraction. I'll write that as -2 over +1. You must distinguish either the numerator to be negative or the denominator to be negative. Here I'm choosing the numerator to be negative. So from the y-intercept, we'll plot the slope. The rise is -2, so I'll go down 2. Our run is +1, so I'll run one place to the right, and I'll plot that point. And next, I'll connect the 2 points. In our last example, we're asked to graph y is equal to -1/5 x. We notice that the equation is in slope-intercept form. Y is equal to -1/5 x is the same as y is equal to -1/5 x plus 0. And this established the fact that our y-intercept is 0. So as we take a look at the steps to plot a linear function using slope-intercept form, our first condition is already satisfied. Our equation is in slope-intercept form. The next thing I'll do is plot the y-intercept, which is 0. Keep in mind that our slope, which is the coefficient of x, is negative, so our graph should fall as we read it from left to right. Our slope I'll just write our y-intercept out. The slope is -1/5. So here again I have to distinguish either the numerator or the denominator is negative. So here I'll distinguish the numerator is negative, and I'll rewrite -1/5 is -1/5. So from the y-intercept, I'll plot the slope. So I'll rise down -1 spaces. I'll run 5 places to the right. I'll plot my point, and I'll connect the 2 points. Thanks for watching.